Hey everyone, welcome to the Dai Podcast, episode 75. This week I am joined by my buddy Dai. He's back finally. It's been a while.
Yep.
And Colin,
Hey,
this week we're just going to kind of talk about collecting, talk about whatever's going on in our life, what we've been doing lately. At the moment, David is sick and my father is in the hospital. Hopefully by the time this episode airs next week, it will be out and everything's good.
yeah.
I will probably do an update video later on, but in the meantime,
Much love to both of them.
yep. Like,
Yeah.
so all right. How you guys been?
You go first, Colin.
Wow. Well, for the past 20 days, I had been part of a preparation crew for our church to have the Bishop of Northeast come in. And that all was a train wreck. And then I came home to my son's room, ceiling collapsing and flooding his room, and then subsequently flooding into my studio. So it's been an interesting time there. Next.
All right. I've been pretty dang good. You know, what was that? Was it a couple weeks now since the meetup, or was it last weekend?
2 weeks.
It was 2
Week and a half
weeks
ago. Wow, time's flying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. Been reading Radiant Black, the first 3 chapter or issues, and then pretty much just what else have I been doing? I pretty much have been behind on everything else. So yeah.
Yeah, when I saw the fact that you were doing the meetup with Vince, I was wondering if, because I didn't know who owned the store,
Mhm.
and I thought maybe you would own the store.
No, I wish.
And I was like, so I'm like, wait, does Dai own the store? Because I watched the video that Vinny did, the walkthrough, and I'm like, well, you know, I'd seen the store before and everything, but I'm like, wait a minute, if Dai owned that would explain some cool stuff, you know?
Yeah. No, that'd be cool to own it, but yeah.
Yeah, it
I
would
don't
be
know.
really cool to own it.
Yeah,
no,
because
that's-
we, my family, we owned a comic and toy store for 5 years called Knights, Cards, and Comics.
Mhm.
And it's actually, you know, it's frustrating but rewarding at the same time. And after 5 years, because the location we were at, we couldn't get any better. We were just like, yeah, you know what, we're done. But we
Yeah.
had the time with it.
Yeah, that's the only downside is if you're not in the right location or, you know, as things change in a neighborhood or whatever, it makes it a little bit harder for you to hold a business. I mean, there's a lot of places that we either went to or helped open that, you know, don't exist anymore just because of the nature of the traffic and everything else or the crime rate.
Yeah. I mean, we were the only shop in Baytown who had anything like that.
Mhm.
So we had a
Yeah.
fair amount of business, but after a while, it just, you know, early 90s happened, and then there you go.
Yeah. And if like Vince would like never told me there was a store like that in Bolivar, I would have never known, honestly. Like I've driven past it several times, you know, and I would have never known the wiser that was there, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, and I only met Rob through the, you know, the toy groups and stuff like GI Joe, PX, and man, there's quite a few that have closed, but I've known him for 6 years, and it's been great ever since being able to go up there. I love it up there. It's really nice, and just being in that shop just brings back tons of memories.
Yeah, he's got quite the selection there.
Mhm.
I will give him that, because I was watching the videos, and then the last time we were all in the chat together, the video, I was like, okay, I used to own that, and oh, I remember that, and it was just, it was memory lane. It was very cool. So
Yeah.
which brings us into the main topic.
What does? I mean, heck, when I came home, when I left, I had Tetris everything I picked up there in the back of my car. I don't know how I did it, but it was pretty awesome being able to get everything there. You know, the one thing I worried about was like having enough room for my family to come home, but that's probably where I would draw the line. I can't not have my kid and my wife come back.
Right. So So what
Yeah.
what did Edward think of the store?
Both of them loved it. It's there's so much to go through. I mean, there's 4 stories. I mean, well, technically it's 3 stories with a basement. So yeah.
Wow. See, because Anna's kind of used to it because of her grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
But Edward, it's a lot of this is all new to him. So that's the experience I'm curious about.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because he was like, I want this, Daddy. I want that. And then he would be like, he took some dinosaurs out of like this area.
Oh, I saw that.
And Rob was all like, hey, those are my dinosaurs. And he was messing with him. And you need to ask. But no, it's he had a blast. And I can't wait to be able to take them and Dad up in July. So that's going to be fun.
Oh, so you're going again. That's cool.
Yeah. Do you know when it is in July?
It'll probably be that second to last weekend. I'll probably find out later what exact day it is.
Okay.
Turns out in July, and on the 14th, I might be on the road doing some gigs. So,
that'd be great to get some of the guys, in the community to go there because it's
I would love to go and be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll fully recommend it. I'm hoping to be able to make it in July for sure. I know the 17th the 24th through the 27th, I have to go to like some conference, but hopefully it's the week before or after. So
yeah, we'll find out. I know that I'd love to be able to help him with that shop, but the funny thing is that last year when I went, I came back to work and I had the unfortunate news of them outsourcing the IT department. So I had a new company I was going to have to deal with and all that nightmare, all this more of the gray showing and all that stuff. No, but this time when I came back, I was like, my coworkers were happy that I was back and I just went back to doing my job. I had no bad news.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way.
So that you had quite a bit of stuff that you took back as well.
To
be able to display it yet, or?
Yeah, I displayed some of it and I'm probably going to go over it and I'll probably do like a small pickups video or something when I get the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got to figure out where I'm actually going to display all that stuff because I really don't have any other bookshelves or display cases that they can actually go on. I didn't think that through. But yeah, I'm glad I picked it up because it's like I wouldn't probably buy them singular, but since they were all like in the collection, I bought them. I figured that was a good deal, and he gave me a pretty good deal on it. So yeah,
that's what's awesome about Rob. He'll cut you a really good deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I just was sad I wasn't able to get any Lego this time.
Hey, but there's Lego next time, and
yeah, definitely.
So we'll have to go from there.
By then there'll be more Marvel and DC stuff out. So that's the primary the stuff that I'm getting nowadays is like Lego based, but if it's specific characters and everything like that. Like my last big great haul was getting the Sharon Carter or Agent Carter Captain America.
Right on. Did you get the Daily Bugle?
No.
Yeah, that one's cool. That one's like
that Lego set. Man, I'd love to have that.
Yeah, that's my next build one I'm going to build. I have it. I just haven't had time to put that one together. So
yeah, but the primary stuff that I'm after right now, and I'm amassing a nice collection of it, is the Constantine stuff. Because
right on.
There's so few of it, and there's a couple of new figures out that I'm trying to. But it's not like back in the day when I had just about everything G.I. Joe. Outside of the absolute monolith base and the helicarrier or aircraft carrier or whatever.
Yeah, the 7-foot tall USS flag.
Yeah, I had everything else. I think back to those times. I'm like, that stuff was so sweet, and it's one of those things where we talked about it last week, where maybe we went back in time and stole our own toys because there's a point where we can't what happened to them. You know, it's like I had all of the first and second run of the characters, and then I started getting like the helicopter with help me out, Vinny, the cowboy pilot.
Oh, Wild Bill. You're talking about the Dragonfly?
Yes, I had the Dragonfly, and I had all the Cobra stuff, and then I got Snow Job with the snowmobile.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite one. I took so good care of that, and I have no clue what happened to it. But that was my big jam back in the day. Is that
I remember there was a point where we came over and Dad picked up like figures from you guys, like G.I. Joe figures, certain vehicles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me that he had like a massive Star Wars collection of stuff from 77 to 83, and that he ended up giving it to Randy to give to his son. And I was like, well, what about me, Dad?
Yeah.
So what was your favorite thing you picked up during the meetup, Vince? Like out of everything you picked up, which you have a lot
there's a lot to go
but,
through.
Yeah.
I think my favorite things are the Holy Grail items that I got. And that is the that nice white Jetfire. Of course, he has his gun, but he doesn't have any of the other parts, the armor, the red armor that would go on him. The complete, I had 3 figures for the Henshin Robo Genesis Climber Maspuda. So they're the Cyclone stuff from Robotech. And then the Guyver models I got, the resin models that I want to put together.
Yeah, those things are cool. Like that. Yeah.
I mean, I love the turtle stuff. I love the G.I. Joe. I mean, I picked up way too much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely gonna pick up the NECA figures of the turtles, the ones I don't have next time I go by. So
yeah,
there's a few I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was something I got since we last talked. Was my dad sent me a bunch of my Python the Holy Grail figures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the big 12-inch. I got them in a stack. Thing is, I have a complete set of the main characters, but they're scattered from the 2 series of figures that are out.
Mm-hmm.
So I have several of the Series 1 and a few of the Series 2. And the Series 1 came with all the extra accoutrements like the Holy Hand Grenade and stuff like that. And the characters that had those I got were from Series 2. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to figure out what have I got? What do I need to go get? And then I discovered there were like 20 more figures that I don't have now. So I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
These things are glorious. I got them in a nice stack, and I'm not even moving them until I know what I'm doing with them. But they're so nice. They're fully clothed. They're like they're like Mego dolls on steroids because they have
wow.
It's all cloth and everything like that, and there's the detail with what they do have with them is so amazing. So
yeah, I can't wait. I'm like really debating on whether I want to spend the next 30 minutes or an hour doing the video for the Batmobile for the Flash movie. That's I've been waiting to get that Batman figure, and now that I have both of them together, I can make a video of it.
That needs to be a separate video.
Oh yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to get one of the Keaton Flash Batmans. Just for the sake of having it.
Yeah, even if that movie bombs, I mean, it's going to be cool just to see Keaton in the bat suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to carry the movie. I mean, it looks interesting. I mean, for me, the big thing is, of course, Ezra Miller. But it's all about Keaton, seeing him in the suit, seeing him do his thing, and getting the merchandise for it and everything like that. Because I had all that stuff back in the day. I had the Batmobile, the Batwing, all the different Batmans, and I don't know what happened to any of that either. Yeah. So I'm going to
How have they not replaced Ezra yet? Like, you would think they would have replaced him.
I think they put too much that he's such a big part of the movie. They would have had to completely redo everything.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
you got to think of
Yeah, because he's playing two of himself.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
You think of like with Back to the Future, how you had Eric Stoltz originally as Marty, and then they brought in Michael J. Fox to play Marty, and they were able to save certain scenes, but they didn't have to do a whole lot. But keep in mind, back then for reshooting wasn't as expensive as it is today.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
And since there's so much of a fan outcry for that movie, just because you have Michael Keaton playing Batman, of course they're gonna do whatever they can to make it successful, hopefully, and get it out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna chase down a Batmobile or a Batwing, but I'm definitely going to chase down at least one of the Batman figures. I'll put it right up here in the wall above the computer, so I can look at it, and I will be absolutely happy with that. And I'm kind of ticked that they didn't do the Batgirl movie, which was like 70, 80% done.
Right.
They just pulled the plug on it, because that would have been more of the Keaton.
Yeah.
You know, more merchandising, more fun stuff to get and everything like that. But they said no. So, which brings me to the next figure collection that I used to have would be the Indiana Jones stuff. I had all the first run Raiders. I had all the first, all of it. And then that's all missing. But when they reissued him, I was happy because I went back and picked up a lot of it. And I have that put away. And now with, Dial of Destiny, there's going to be, they're re-releasing basically, I forget what they call them, but it's basically all the old school style figures.
Like their vintage stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I forget what they called them, but I'm like, okay, I got to go get those. Although the ones I got, they came with the golden idol, they came with the arc, they came with, little boxes of explosives, all the neat little accoutrements with it. All of them had a whip and a gun and everything. But that set, they look like, okay, we're just going to give you the classic figures that you may have had and lost.
Yeah, you're not going to get the play sets or any of the.
Yeah, you're just getting the figures, and you're getting great quality figures for it. So I saw that, and I'm like, okay, that's going to cost a little bit, but that's going to be absolutely worth it for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm really happy with like so far the Indiana Jones 6-inch figures as far as the first wave, because you get the whole build an arc.
Yeah.
The sculpts are pretty good. I think Indy's not as good as like the others, but the likeness is pretty damn close.
Yeah. And I don't even really care about that as much, because if you think about, they're de-aging him in the new movie, so things are going to look a little weird. You can kind of suspension of disbelief a little bit with the figures, because unless you're McFarlane Toys, your sculpts are not going to be 100%.
Right. Well, considering the fact that how pretty good the sculpts are for any of the Marvel movie figures or Star Wars alone with the Black Series.
Okay, the Black Series, yes. Okay, the Black Series I can absolutely agree with. The other stuff, 98% maybe.
Well, because like the Wave 2, which has the Skull Temple or whatever, it has the skull face with the stones.
Yes. Okay.
And the two of the indies in that looks fantastic. Short Round looks good.
Yes, that I will agree, that looks really good.
I am not happy that they're doing. Why? I know why they're doing it, because we know that the movie most likely is not going to do well because of just certain things that are going on. We know what the original script ideas was.
Yeah.
And all the reshoots they've been doing. But they have Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character and an old Indiana Jones in that set, and it's like, but where's Mataram? And come on, what's her name? The female from Temple of Doom.
Oh,
Billy, or
I want to say Kate, but I think that's the actress.
And I know it. I know, just like I'm on the spot and I can't think right now.
Yeah, same here.
Willie.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of sad.
You're, but we're only into 2 waves. They could do a 3rd wave.
Right. They're doing like Adrian Brody and Balak, and they're like Balak in the white suit, Adrian in his blue. As a 2-pack. You got the Temple Escape indie where he's at the idol and he's about to grab it and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a figure on its own, exclusive to Hasbro. I think there's a couple others. You got the white tuxedo one with him at the beginning of Temple of Doom, and it looks like they're going to be starting to do stuff for The Last Crusade. And I want a Henry Jones Jr., but I don't know if that's indie, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sean Connery.
That's what I'm looking for. Henry Jones Sr. Sean Connery's figure. I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
That might be hard to do though, right? Because of licensing and you think, or
not really. I mean,
because it's already licensed. That I'm pretty sure that's part of the original agreement under the movie stuff was merchandising, licensing, and stuff like that. It would make sense anyway if they did it. Plus, Sean Connery's 80 and hasn't done anything in a while, so he might, throw me a few bucks. Why not?
Well, his family would at least.
At least it wouldn't smell like shitrish.
Yeah. But which goes in the whole thing of like there's a lot of cool figures coming out, and collectibles, like just memorabilia for stuff. I just saw earlier this week, actually, over the weekend, I saw that they're doing Trigun figures, and I was like, Pop Guns.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and it's like
heard about that.
It's Wolfwood, Vash, Knives, Billy, and Meryl. And the sad thing is that Vash is sold out. And I'm like, no.
Oh, really?
But everyone else
short print in it.
I'm like, come on.
I mean,
that's so dumb. Yeah, but I'm sick of all the short printing. And
I know, I hate it too.
Yeah. I
But,
mean, they had to know up front. I mean,
yeah, they would have had to. Like, obviously,
create chaser.
I'm mad about it.
I get that, the whole chaser figure thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know that Vash is going to be one of the clear picks, you might want to say, okay, we're going to go back and we're going to take a couple of less of these and we're going to print more Vashes, and we will absolutely still sell them out. But no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's sad though, because you have the whole artificial inflation or artificial limited run of stuff, because they want to draw up hype for the figure, and then from that same token, it's like, hey, here we go. We know people want it. Now we can slowly produce a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get them to do it. But the downside of that too is that you got to worry about the scalper side of things, and
and the bots.
Right.
The bots. Oh.
And well, it's one of those things where, like, it really hurts them as a business, shortchanging themselves, because there's people who want this stuff. So when you do it as a limited, like they do, it makes it to where who's actually going to make the money? They get their initial print of it, but most of the time it's like you got scalpers or resellers getting the money like 300 or 400 times the price. Yeah. 300 or 400 times the price of what the figure was worth originally.
So is it on the Big Bad Toy Store for the Vosh figure? Or?
Yeah, you can see him on there, but it was sold out last I checked. I was like, dang it, I want this so bad.
Yeah, no joke. That one.
Other than Vash, I don't really care about any other figures, but I want the giant cross gun.
Yeah, Wolfwood.
I just want his gun. That's all I care about. That was probably, outside of Vash and what he could do, that was probably the coolest thing for me, was to see that big old cross gun in action.
Yeah.
Even the old Trigon figure was pretty dang good, but
Yeah, both of them. You had the McFarlane and you had the come on, I can't remember the company names now. The Japanese release version of the figure.
Right.
Both those
there was at least consistency throughout all of them.
Yeah.
And that to me shows a love and reverence to the IP and everything attached to it. They said, okay, we're going to do limited runs, but we need to really make this look good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to see some companies actually doing that. You get the Hasbros and you get the Mattels and stuff like that, where they're just going to pump out millions of them and they don't care about sculpts as much, or they don't care about proportions or accessories and stuff like that. They're just trying to make that bottom dollar.
Right. And the sad thing is it's not for kids anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
That's sad because I want to buy Star Wars figures for my son, but the 6-inch figures are better. But it's like I'm paying $35 a figure almost now, with between tax and everything, depending if it's a bigger figure, and
Right.
then doubling it because I'm having to buy one for me and one for my son. It's like,
companies need to realize the physical aspect, whether it be games, toys, or for the adults are the ones buying it. Because if you're a kid now or teenager, you're probably just paying for the subscription. You have your parents pay for the subscription for games. So we're going to be the ones buying the physical games. We're the ones that are going to be buying the figures to put on our shelves. So they need to understand it's
I'm
for
sure
us.
they do understand that, and which is why the prices keep going up, because they know it's the adults who are going to be doing the collectibles, and they're going to be trying to hold on to stuff to make as much, whatever out of it. But back in the day, man, back when prices were reasonable, you could go out and buy 2 or 3 of one figure.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. We're going to put this one in the package. You can play with this one and break it, and then we'll have this other one just in case.
Just in case. And then if you're my dad, you buy like one for you, one for me, one to resell. So that way, if it's one of those things that was, he would do that whole thing where he'd buy stuff and try to make his free or mine free or both of ours free. And it's like, I mean, hey, it's one thing you can do. I mean, a lot of people do it now, and it makes it hard for people to collect things.
And then you had people like TJ.
Oh yeah, you buy boxes and cases.
He would buy boxes and cases of it as anticipation. Sometimes he'd nail it, and sometimes he wouldn't. And he would have this stuff, and then would mark up 3 times the price 6 months later. And that took away from people being able to at least experience it themselves.
Right. And that would be sad, because we'd go over there and find the figures we were looking for that we could never find at toy stores.
Right.
And that he would have these items, and it's like, dang, there's stuff I really want, but he has a huge price on it. And it's like he likes that stuff more than he wants to actually sell it.
Yeah. And when I was working for him, he actually laid out the fact that he did that intentionally. That he was trying to he was in it just for the money. He stopped being about the collecting ages before I even worked for him.
Yeah.
It was about the profit and the bottom line. And I'm like, man, that sucks.
Well, that was why, Nans and Phoenix did better, as far as like you could find stuff there, and they actually tried to have it marked at a certain price.
Yeah, there was a little bit of markup because they had to go out and get it and make themselves money. And everybody understood that, but it was still obtainable, especially with Nans.
Yeah.
They understood, they saw the TJ model, and they said, no, this is not going to work. We have people who want these things. We're going to help facilitate it. We need to be able to make our money to make it profitable. But it wasn't so absorbent that, you like your dad would go into Nans and say, okay, I can do this and I can do this. It's a little bit more, but still it's something I can do.
Yeah.
As opposed to walking into Third Planet and just going, really? It's a museum at that point.
Yeah. He's creating an experience.
He's manipulating the market based on his own things.
But so Dai, go ahead.
What's up?
I was going to say,
so are you going to get the Conan figures? Conan the Barbarian figures?
I did see those. My dad would be the one who'd been interested in those.
Oh,
yeah, the Super 7
like those.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy those. Oh, what were you going to ask?
Well, I was like, from where you're at, like, what do you feel like some of the places you maybe went to as a kid, or when you were in your teen or college years?
For like figures or games, none of it's left. It's all gone. There's vintage stock, which I'm pretty sure you heard the name thrown around because it's like a Kansas, Missouri. And I know Rob mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
That's like in his video, he says, oh, he was at Vintage and he saw that. So, I mean, Vintage is a good place. Like, don't get me wrong, but you could tell they're really just in it for the money. And, it's they don't really take care of the stuff they have. I won't say they're as bad as that DK Oldies thing, but, but there's a comic book store way out. If you drive at least for me, there's 30 minutes. It's out west, but that's still there. But we really don't have much from. There used to be one in my town in the '90s, which I don't get because my town at that time only had 10,000 or 8,000 people at the time. And now we have 22,000. So I was like, how can it not be sustainable now when it was sustainable when we had 8,000 people? It made no sense. I don't know. We really don't have anything left anymore, unfortunately. Close things 2.5 hours either way, northeast or south. So
yeah.
Well,
it'd be one of those things that it'd be cool. If I never get you down and stuff I could show you some of the places that are still here, because one of the comic book shops that showed up in my later teens was Bedrock, and that's a really good place. The person who owns it, Ricky Evans, is a pretty awesome dude,
and they've lasted.
They've lasted for a long time. They have, I think, 3 or 4 stores.
Yeah, Jimmy was working out at one of them up until last year. He worked there for several years. My nephew.
So. Yeah.
Third Planet's still around. Nan's is still around. It's just it's the experience. There's a couple video game places. There's a couple toy store places that are around town, that are really awesome. I'd love to be able to go film and do stuff and showcase.
Yeah.
I know. But yeah, there used to be a flea market that they used to have a lot of rare stuff. I would go there to get like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and or whatever game I was playing, or even video games, figures, whatever. They always had it. Somehow that closed down. It made no sense.
We have a place called Kohl's that's been around since a long time. I mean, 40 years maybe or more.
Something.
And then there's quite a few places around here. Was it? There's one over here by us, but we've never been to it. I need to go and check it out. It's just not in the best neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But Jersey Village, that's another flea market out there in the I can't remember where that's actually at now. It's what? Southwest Houston or Northwest Houston? I don't remember.
Back in the day when you were a kid, there were 3 places we would always go every weekend: Pearland Flea Market, Toys R Us, and Best.
Yeah.
Best ended up being a block and a half from the house that your dad ended up renting by the mall, by Alameda Mall. And Toys R Us was always, Toys R Us back in its heyday. And the Pearland Flea Market was where you could find obscure stuff, and it was always a good time. But Best, when it came to getting certain figures, is new, like the G.I. Joe and the Star Wars stuff and the Transformer stuff, Best always had the first run stuff immediately. And they had the cool facade of the building where
yes,
it was broken away and it looked like a volcano coming from the building. It was like a reverse image of it. It was so cool. And that we loved going to Best because their toy section was, 20 by 20, but they always had the best stuff right away. If you couldn't find it at Toys R Us or you couldn't find it at Alameda Mall, all right, let's go to Best. It's got to be there. And sure enough, we filled out a lot of our collections back in the day there. And that was so much fun.
What was awesome, you could go to Walgreens or Eckert's and stuff and find toys and Transformers and G.I. Joes for $3.
Yeah.
And now it's no, it's $20 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's if they have, not all of them carry the stuff like that. It's select ones. Walgreens finally made it up here, a year and a half ago. We finally have Walgreens.
Oh,
Really? It took that long?
Oh, it's always been
like
Kenny's Drugs
Yeah.
and things like that. But no, we finally had Walgreens finally show up. And I'm like, wow.
like wasn't it Walgreens like started in like New York City?
I don't know where it started from, but we had it there in Houston growing up. It was
Oh wow.
well, it's funny. We started getting 7-Elevens again.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple up here now. We had one in the city of Fulton, which is about 20 minutes from here,
Mhm.
where I would go and get my, my freaking shakes and all that wonderful business. And then they closed down. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Slurpees and
Oh yeah.
you get free Slurpee day going,
Oh yeah.
free
Those are
flavor
good.
Slurpees. Come on, man.
Suicides, grab a fountain
Yes.
drink and just put like all the
And
drinks.
that was another part of the weekends. Shipley's Day Old Donuts, Suicide Slurpees, and figure hunting. Before and then we would get it. Then we got into gaming heavily.
Yeah. We would do that in the morning. We'd probably go eat somewhere, typically a buffet.
Yeah, or we would go and get the stuff and make it at the house.
Yeah, and then it was role playing that night.
Yeah, and then during the breaks is when we would go and toy hunt or Pearland Flea Market or whatever, and just kind of stretch our legs and get out and about. Because your dad was always about getting you guys out of the house and experiencing stuff.
Yeah, because we would that, or we'd go to Bay Area Park or any of those places, just like to do something. U.S. golfing game, Super Track.
Mm-hmm. That was the big one. And then there was that whole 2 or 3 years where we were doing all the fireworks. And
yep.
Was it Redwood or something like that? Was it?
Oh, it was in Huntsville.
No, it was north of like Pasadena. It was like in that undeveloped area where we would always go into one of the cul-de-sacs with the house built.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then we would do because I know that there was that time that you helped us out. It was you, Ray, Dad, and we went out to their Ray's buddy's house that he owned out in Freeport. That's what it was.
Freeport, yes.
Yeah, and then just have these giant firework wars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm starting to get to the point where I want to go and start having Edward, because he's at that perfect age now to start influencing him. And I want to, I know we're going to be heading out to my dad's probably tomorrow night, even though this is last week when this was recorded, but
the 4th.
Yeah, the 4th. And I'm going to go try to get tickets so we can go see Return of the Jedi, because that is in theaters right now. And I haven't seen that in theaters since the special editions, but I was originally old enough to see it when I was 2 in the theaters when it came out in 83. So,
that might be part of the reason, on top of the stuff we discussed earlier, that might be part of the reason they put it out in theaters. So you would have it on May the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
May the 4th.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's also my dad's birthday tomorrow. I got to remember to call him. And he sends his love to you guys too. He's thinking about you.
Thank you. Tell him we said we love him too.
Yeah.
My grandfather from another family.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's going to start his chemo and radiation in like a week.
Oh, okay.
So, but we'll talk about that.
Good luck on that.
Yeah.
That's just terrible.
And that was another thing of the collecting that inspired your dad, was all the fantasy stuff that my dad had.
Oh yeah.
Later on down the road, when he had all the dragon's head and all the fantasy stuff in the living room, and you guys came over to see me when I was down there in like 2015 or something, and you were just like, whoa.
Wow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He still has all that stuff too. And now he's doing the diorama collecting and stuff like that. So,
that's awesome. Yeah, because you got to have something that's going to keep you your mind fresh and your memories there, because it could all go in an instant and everything else.
Exactly, and that's where the collecting comes in. You get to be able to hold on a piece of your past and your piece of history, and you can be able to share it with your kids. and you keep it in great shape. And, not only is this worth something monetarily, but it's got, a personal value to it as well. Something that's not measurable. It's like you're getting Edward into all this stuff like that, but at some point you're going to be able to explain to him, okay, this is more than playing, this is collectible, and he's going to grow up respecting that, just like you guys did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's already trying to emulate it now. We're trying to rearrange his room so he can start displaying. So he's got a section where he has Lego Minecrafts that he's built, sets that he's put on the shelf, and he won't let any of his friends touch him.
Nice.
That's right.
That's nice.
So
I remember that, like when I would have like younger relatives come over, and like I didn't have a big, like I had like maybe just like one shelf at the time, but I had like some action figures, and like cousins or whatever, they would go to touch. I'd be like, don't touch that, do not touch that. I remember that. I was like, yeah, back then.
Yeah. Your dad had so many of those. I remember in the apartment there, just outside of Pasadena, coming away from like Southeast and stuff like that. I forget the name of the apartment. You guys were there forever. He had that
Brandywood.
He had that one long shelf that went from where the kitchenette was all the way down to the bathroom.
In the back room, yeah. I mean, you're looking at like
go down the hallway and it's
20
all that
feet.
one shelf.
Just like, yeah, no, it was probably about 12 feet. 12 feet of like two shelves of just went all the way down. It's broke apart where the bathroom was, and it would continue up to hit about his door, and it was just filled with figures and collectibles. And we talked about that part too, where I'd have friends come over, and then he would slowly start losing stuff, and because you do. And he would people back then when you're that young. But
because he had stuff that was important on the one shelf, but the higher shelf was like, you touch this stuff, you're going to lose your hand.
Yeah. Or he would have like the Enterprises models that he'd made hang from the ceiling. I remember there was one time that me and Ember were wrestling or doing something, and we knocked one down. And we're like, oh my God, he's going to kill us. And we're trying to figure out where the super glue is and to try to glue it and put it back up there somehow. And yeah, we both got in trouble. Was it Gene that took his Enterprise and said, I want to see if it can fly? Yes. Yeah. That's a classic story. Holy moly. When he gets back on the boat, we need to have him tell that again. Well, and it's funny too, because I remember it was that one of the one we broke that he goes like, it broke so many times, and it might have been that same one. It might have been the same. Did it the first time. My dad fixed it. We did it, and then he was like, all right, screw it. So he took it and made it battle damaged, like it was the one from Wrath of Khan. And then he had it. He was like, if it breaks this time, I'm done. All right. Yeah, he adapted so well. Poor guy. So, Dai, like for you, I mean, what were some of your experiences like growing up with like toys and things like that? Were your parents into it?
No, my brothers got into it. They grew up in the late 70s, 80s, so they got like early, like, would that have been right before probably the golden age of comics, or would but they got into, like, my brother was really big into Superman. My other brother, he liked the Joker a lot, and then but they were always both mainly DC even at the time. Mm-hmm. But they grew up with Conan. They grew up with all the good 80s stuff and the comics and stuff, and I got all their, like, a lot of their hand-me-down toys from back then. So I was playing with like decade-old toys at that time, so I was into that stuff. So but and then pretty much even with games, like when they got the PlayStation, I got the Super Nintendo, so I was always a step behind, which is good. Yeah. But it got me into like all the good stuff, so I don't know, until later on I was able to get the little bit newer stuff, or the same, like around the PS2 we would get, my parents would buy me like PS2 so we could kind of play the games, like fighting games together, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, like I bought a lot of stuff even at garage sales back then, like as soon as something got old, you could find stuff for really cheap. Like no one cared about price back then. They were just like, oh, PS2 games, $2, $3, you know? So yeah, that's how I amassed my big PS2 collection. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of stuff, you know, like I said, flea market, you know, that's how I got all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards back then, play back then, or Magic or whatever I was playing at the time. They even back then, like they were selling them, but they didn't care as much about prices as much they even do now. You know, I mean, there's a few cards that always stood out. You know, that was always the big prize cards, but most of the cards you could go through a big 10-cent box and you get a bunch for a couple bucks. And yeah, so I was always on the low budget side of the stuff, but yeah, man, I certainly got my fair share of all the stuff though. Yeah, it was awesome. I grew up in a good time because, like I said, I got to experience a lot of the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000 stuff. So, like, well, I guess 2000 pre 2005, I guess early 2000s like 2010 now. So it's like,
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was another important, fun part to the whole thing when Blockbuster was really big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you could get your game fill-ins for cheap because they were used, and occasionally they had some unique, you know, figures or something like that that was related to a movie or a game or something like that. And once in a while, you'd find a gem there, and they wouldn't be overpriced because it was Blockbuster, you know, national chain.
Yeah.
Again, it was okay, just enough to make our profit back on it, but you could go in, you could find stuff that was connected to other stuff that you were already there for, and be like, and then walk out of it as some real treasure. Like, whoa, okay, awesome.
Definitely. And the magazines, like, of course, you know, everyone had their subscription to the magazines. You know, I had Game Pro, I had Nintendo Power for a little bit, I had another one, but you know, and I didn't know this, but one of my buddies, he was saying, oh yeah, he was importing his older brother was importing Japanese games before that. I said, dang, I didn't even knew you could, like, I didn't know you could do that at that time till much later, or I would have been begging my parents to do that, you know.
Well, yeah, that's one of the cool things too, because we had a one of the malls before it got moved, Pasadena Town Square Mall, had a video rental store that actually had, you know, imported games. Like, I think that was the first time I ever played the Super Nintendo was at that place, the Super Famicom at the time. And I got to play Super World because they had imported it in, and we rented it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, heard of back then.
Yeah. Even going to the mall back then, like pre-2004 maybe, was way different, way cooler. I'm not sure. Did you guys ever have like Suncoast?
Yep. My dad went there religiously.
Yeah.
We picked up all the Dragon Ball Z VHSs. I would pick up a bunch of different movies on occasion. I think at that time I was picking up all the John Carpenter movies, horror movies, and this was, I had a pretty nice VHS collection. But as soon as like DVDs came out, I was like, all right, I got to get these on DVD, because it was it was seeing these movies in higher quality than 240 or whatever p standard at the time.
Yeah, I love Suncoast. I don't know why they went out of business, and honestly, like, that was the first time
like, during COVID.
Mine closed down like 2008, so I guess that was a recession back then. But
probably, Oh wow,
Caveman! Oh, right on.
Got this yesterday.
Oh, really?
My dad, Ringo Starr.
Yeah, was given that yesterday.
Nice,
sweet.
I'm like, okay, I definitely want that.
Yeah, and I remember Suncoast, they had like hentai, which I didn't know at the time, you know, because I saw that big black wall and I said, "What's this?" So I was like, and then my brother was over. He said, "Oh, whoa, don't look at that." I said, "No, too late." I was literally like, I was like 8 at the time. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." It's like,
because they did have adult stuff there. I mean, it was funny. I mean, like, but they had collectibles. They had figures. You could magazines, T-shirts. It was so cool.
Yeah, they did. They had a good selection of stuff. Absolutely, they did.
Yeah, it's like there's these places that are. I remember like KB was was
Oh,
KB Toys.
Yeah, I mean that was great. I mean,
if you ever wanted to go into a place that was just so packed full of toys that you had to go back several times just to try and get through what they had the first round, KB Toys was it.
That's what's funny is that Rob's shop reminds me of KB Toys. I need to think about that. It does. Or
Rob, he's got at least a lot more organization. When you went into KB,
yes.
You needed a shovel.
There was like you're digging through toys because
you're an archaeologist the minute you walk in the door.
I mean, think of how many kids would come into the shop and stuff and be like, "Oh, I want this and this." Their mom's like, "No, you're not," or dad, "No, you're not getting this," and they just place it there.
And it never got picked up. It just let it lie. Looking for that nugget. It's under 10 feet of other toys. Throw your kid in there. Dive in like a ball pit.
Did you guys have FYE or FYI?
We did.
Yeah. That one's pretty good. I still have that one. Like if I drive like 2.5 hours north, I still could go to that one. But
I think there's one in Katy Mills Mall. There used to at least be one. But man, they like their anime way too much to be sold. I'd find some cool stuff and then be like, oh man, this is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more expensive than what you could find online. So yeah.
But sometimes if you really had to have that anime fixed,
there was a
and that obscure music were their strong points, but they
right. That's why I miss like Sound Warehouse and even places like Planet Anime that we had down here. That was a anime shop dedicated to nothing but Japanese memorabilia. You could rent movies. They had like a selection of games sometimes. They had tons of cool figures, models, Gundams, like Macross stuff, and then like tons of anime on sale. And that's where I got like my Record of Lois War and my Guyver and quite a few. I think I even got my Macross Plus, the 4 OVAs from there. So I mean, that place was awesome, and it was there for like. I think mid 2000s at least. And we had been going there for a long time. And then they ended up, the owner closed the shop, ended up opening up an arcade that was around for a period of time, somewhere downtown. And then I think we went there twice, but a couple of my buddies would go there all the time.
Dang.
Yeah. Up here, we had a place called Media Play.
Yeah.
Media Play was fantastic, and they had a huge footprint. I mean, it was one of those things where, if you're looking for something obscure from, another country or something like that, you could find it there. You could find toys and movies and memorabilia and games and everything like that. And they were around 15, almost 20 years, and then they kind of got too big for themselves and folded. I mean, they used to do, at one point, they did meet and greets. They were so big up here.
Oh, wow.
We had Emerald Lagasse at the one we had up here in Syracuse. So we went up there and we did some shopping and met Emerald. And my son, Christopher, said probably the most memorable thing of his entire existence. Bye, Emerald. You're my biggest fan. And that was after, because we got in line, he was handing out like little sweets and stuff like that. And we got there and he ran out. He's like, all right, let's go get that chocolate. Let's go get that kicked up chocolate. And he bought one out of those 15, 20-pound blocks of Hershey chocolates. He was just smashing them and giving them. And our kids were like the first ones in line for that. And they were like, oh. And
then they were bouncing around
walking away. Bye, Emerald. You're my biggest fan. And everybody was just started laughing.
Oh man.
So but Media Play was for years. That was our go-to for a lot of stuff up here.
We would go there for a good while because it was one of the other alternatives to go to for finding games and electronic stuff. Because
I
remember, and this is like 95, 96, maybe 97. And then they were gone after that. At least down here. But
they held on for a long time up here. And then they just kind of, one weekend, they were just gone. The building is still there, and the labeling is still out there and everything like that. huge place.
Yeah. Well, you had because like Circuit City, was around at that time.
Oh
You're
yeah, I
dealing
like
with
that
Best
one way
Buy.
better than Best Buy.
You had
Service merchandise.
yep.
They were real big in the 80s. I mean, some toy stuff, but some electronic stuff too. That was really fun.
Did you guys have Radio Shack?
Yeah,
Obviously.
a lot of them. Yeah. There was a few that you could go to. You could still find like certain toys there and or the other like little cool things. But after that, they just became pure like if you need this kind of circuit, or it was just like computer hardware, electronics instead of
Yeah.
They're still online, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're going the Amazon route, which is fair because if you need reliable stuff like that for pieces, parts, or whatever, you can go to Radio Shack, which was always the original purpose. But like you said, after a while, it just became a niche thing. You couldn't just go in there and explore and get all these ideas and stuff like that. And okay, this is pretty cool, and that it just went in. You literally went in. Okay, I need this, out the door.
Yeah, here's some foam jacks, or here's what it is like this small.
I need soldering wire. I need these clips.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even like just some of the game stores are just not around anymore. It sucks because you don't have that same feel like we used to. I could go and pick a Saturday and we'd go out and look for things that my dad used to do and I started doing for a period of time. I mean, there's stuff I'm finding now, because there's that place called Ollie's that I went to this past weekend, and I found some really good. I found some Star Wars figures I was missing that my dad needed too, that were only like $11 versus having to pay 24 for them,
right?
Or somewhere like Walmart.
Ollie's is all over the place up here.
Yeah. We just got one up in the next city up, so I need to check it out.
It's a lot of fun, man. You can find all sorts of stuff, and not just like the figures and the games and stuff. You go over into the book section, which is usually when you first walk in. You can find once in a while. You can find, like if they had special books connected to movies or whatever events like that. You could go in there. They get a couple bucks a pop.
Yeah, I picked up one of the one of the collected volumes for. Was it Grayson? Whenever Dick Grayson worked for the government agency, and that first volume for $4.
Yeah,
I picked up for Dad.
I mean, it's
really cool.
And they have a variety of stuff. I mean, you could go in looking for, like you go in looking for toys or games or books or something like that. That's all connected to the normal collecting stuff, and you'd be like, hey. That's a nice 3x5 rug, and that's $5. I think I'll grab that for the bathroom. You just walk out of there with so much stuff, it kills you.
Well, that was the thing too. Is like I went over because right next door. Oh well, not directly next door, but it was like 3 stores away. There was a Goodwill, and I went inside. I was looking for any toys or games, and the coolest thing I saw was a really nice leather couch. I was like, for $35. I was like, man, if I had a truck right now, I would have got it.
Right. And, Goodwill, Salvation Army and stuff like that. That's always, if you ever see one, just go, oh, let's go take a look.
Mm-hmm. Thrift stores.
Yeah, you never know what you can walk out of there with.
Yeah.
I mean, go in there and look through the whole store and find one thing, and you go, this was worth the entire moment,
Yeah, I haven't found anything at my local Goodwills in years, anything worth a dang. Yeah.
Well, I go in because of instruments.
It's hard too because if you're in a smaller town than like the Houston, which is a huge, massive city, you're not going to get as much traffic for those older games and stuff. You might find modern stuff easier than you would some of the older stuff, even toys this day and age, because everything is everything has a value. And that's one of the things is like, I miss like being able to go with my dad to flea market, hitting up some of these toy places, and in them having like just bins of stuff and like vehicles and parts. And it was like, oh yeah, it's cheap. My dad would like spend maybe $40, and I'd come away with like a Sky Striker and a couple of GI Joe vehicles and figures. And my dad had stuff, and it was awesome. And
Yeah,
I don't have that anymore. I mean, you can on occasion, especially if you're in a rural area, some place small, that has like these like maybe weekend, once a month flea markets, but you got to get there early because you can't go there midday because all the resellers are going to go and grab all the good stuff,
right?
And then set it to be sold at their booths.
Remember that flea market that was it was some kind of mega store or something like that. It was over by where Grandma Jean lived.
Oh yeah.
And then
it had the Denny's in front of it.
Yeah, and they had like the big pizza place by it and everything like that. But you go in there, we would find toys, but we'd also find all the Japanese stuff like the throwing stars and the nunchucks.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that place turned back into a flea market for a bit, and then I don't remember what it is now, but that was a pretty cool. I totally forgot about that. Like then there was also the one that's off of 610, but I think it was 610 going towards the no, actually I think it's going the other direction. I thought it was going towards the Astrodome, but it's the other direction. It was that weird shaped building that we would go to that had like multi floors, and like it was huge, but we'd find toys and just cool stuff there.
Dang,
but that's the thing about 610. There's like so much 610 that eventually you could buy the Astro.
Yeah, you actually used to, because the Astro's still there, even though it's not really used much other than graduation and special.
So if you're talking about getting from 610 to a specific place, it's entirely possible. It could just take you an hour.
Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's not used for much at all, anything. I think they're still trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do with it.
I thought they were going to knock it down, but obviously they can't. So
yeah. Well, it was one of the 8th wonders of the world, so
yeah. It's like if you're not battling bots online to get your stuff, you're battling resellers in person to get your stuff.
Exactly.
So,
and when it takes the fun out of it, I mean, it's great that there's so many people that are into everything that we loved as kids that they would make fun of us for. So it makes like there's this more competition for us to have. But you look at it like with Japan, and you could go to a place and you would find like sealed games that never got sold, or systems or toys. And then like you go to like their swap, what is it, the book offs, and actually find it cheaper and other stuff. And it's like, man, why can't we have it like that here? They produce stuff
because it's Japan.
And we're too far spread out. Like
we are too far spread out. Because there's probably a couple places in the US that probably have stashes of boxes of games or toys that never got sold. That's why we still have people going, oh wow, look at what we found. We have a storage unit from a store that doesn't exist anymore that has sealed games and stuff. And it's like, man, I want to find that stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll go sell a kidney and they go a kidney. But it's one of those. Of course, I'd be dead, but
can enjoy for a very, very short
I just
time.
enjoy it for a very short time until I die. I kill over. But yeah, no, it's I'd love to be able to try to rekindle what I had with my dad, with my son, but it's going to get harder because the differences are we've changed so much, and I wonder what it's going to be like for him, what his memories are going to be, and hopefully I can help him with like exploring his creativity, is like broadening his horizons, because it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean, the landscape is so much different.
Even like the simulcast of everything that comes out compared to what came out when we were younger, Like there might have been like a few shows to keep up with, but now there's like so much.
There's so much. That's like we're at the point now, or we're well beyond the point now that you'll never be able to watch everything that's on YouTube in a lifetime. Nothing.
Yep.
Not that all of it's great. I mean, but you would never be able to keep up at all. I mean, you have to be your full-time job, and you'd still never be able to watch everything.
Yeah, you still can't catch everything.
Yeah, and that's television. I mean, that's all that stuff. I mean, it's not as bad, but it's there.
Yeah. You have shows, series, movies, games, comics, manga, anime.
You could totally get lost in the world of music just by like, an album and then like going, all right, this is really cool. But this, so and then you ask your friends, hey, what about this? And they may introduce you to a whole other 10 bands that are very similar to the one you were listening to.
Oh, heck yeah. Infinite amount, pretty much.
Hey, Vinny, breaking news. They got that Cleveland shooter.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they got him.
Oh, awesome.
Was there another one?
No. Like, the guy who shot up the house of 10 people, 5 died.
Oh, the college students?
No, this was in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, this was basically the whole state of Texas was looking for this guy.
Yeah,
when did this happen?
As of this morning, before they found him, if you could provide any information on this guy to help him be caught, it was $80,000.
Really?
Yeah.
When did this happen? Like, was that yesterday?
Like Friday?
Or
Friday, yeah, Friday.
He just like went in and shot up everyone.
Well, he was next door neighbors to him. He was always firing off his gun, and it was upsetting and waking up their baby. So they said, "Hey, can you stop firing your gun? It's waking up the baby." So the guy decided to turn the gun on the house and the whole family.
Yeah.
And they were all from like Bolivia or something, or Brazil or something.
Well, he was an illegal.
He was an illegal, and they were all there from they were all there.
Yeah, they did.
But that, they were all. But he basically just started shooting up the whole place and killed 5 people, including an 8-year-old kid. And then
that opens up a big can of worms on everything. That's terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, San Jack County got him.
Yeah.
And
Good.
They got him in Montgomery County. So,
jeez. That's effed up.
No, this guy was he was nasty. So I'm glad they got that. So
yeah, that's good. But yeah, no, I mean, I look forward to the adventure. I mean, it's one of the things I wanted to do this year was be able to like explore and like find places we used to go to, find new places, and record it and take my son with me, maybe take my friends. I think the one of the things that's hard to do, some of the content I like to do, I'd need another camera and someone with me when I need the cameraman, because I can't hey guys, because I look weird. And I'm like, yeah, look at this. This is awesome. And, it's just like, it works, but I don't know. I figure doing something better with the production would be nice.
Yeah.
But
get your little hype man with you.
Get him involved. I know. I want to capture that stuff, because that's one of the things I kind of wished that we did was record some of the stuff that.
Oh, I know.
Everything we did would have been. We would have had like a million subscriber channel because of all the stuff that went on back then.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
From the stories we've told alone, that are real popular. If we had video of it where everybody could see it firsthand, absolutely, that would just be viral moments all over the place.
Oh man, even the instance where it was me, my sister, my dad, Mark, his brother Josh, where we were at this park over there by Brandywood. It was like tucked away in the this neighborhood over there, and it was the park I had one of my birthdays at. Well, we were there. My dad had his bokens. There were sword fighting, and Mark and Dad were fighting with the swords, and Mark just got mad at Dad and just threw the boken and hit his ankle, and he's like, ah.
Oh.
But I mean, hell, there was even a time where me, my buddy Sam, and another friend were fighting in the front yard with wooden bokens, and I cut his ear. He started chasing me
wow.
because I wasn't trying to do it, but it was like we were choreographing the fight scene really well, and then I just went and took a swing, and it went on his ear, and you just see the blood kind of come down, and he was like, and I'm running. Trying to get away, but
yeah, I wish we had.
So what, any new series or anything coming out soon that caught your eye, any of you?
Well, as I was talking before we started recording, the second season for Sweet Tooth is out. I'm happy that's out finally, because they left it on a big cliffhanger, and I was afraid they were going to cancel it, but it's really good so far. I got my wife into it again. So
Sweet.
New series? I don't know, not yet. I know that I did see today that I can purchase to watch digitally right now the Dungeons and Dragons movie and one other movie that's out right now.
Supposedly Ant-Man's available for advanced purchase.
Right. On Vudu. Yeah. Or somewhere.
I don't know. It's going to be like next month before it hits Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And then what was the other one?
I don't know. The Twisted Metal Black or the Twisted Metal.
Was the Metal series looks pretty good.
I got to watch the trailer for that, but if it's even close, I'm not sure how Anthony Mackie's going to be in it. Like I said, I'm going to have to look at the trailer, before I decide I'm going to get whole hyped up about it.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't like the last Twisted Metal game, the PS3 one.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I get the feeling for this movie. I mean, the TV series, because that was the one that was like really kind of open world, and I know it didn't do well, but
yeah.
I haven't looked up on IMDb to see who everyone's playing as far as like Anthony Mackie. I know the one dude's playing Sweet Tooth, and he looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's going to be the voice actor. It's going to be probably the stunt double thing again.
No.
Yeah.
From what I understand of it, it's going to be mainly voice acting, which is fine because that's the way for a lot of things to go nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the Twisted Metal series was always about Twisted Metal Black. That was always my go-to game for that. So I'd like if they don't have aspects of that and that, then maybe it could be something they could introduce later on down the road. Like have a season 2 Twisted Metal Black or whatever like that would be fine.
Oh, that was the other one. Okay, so it's Renfield. I can get Renfield right now.
Oh
yeah.
That is supposed to be a soft reboot of the Monsterverse they wanted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I was reading a couple weeks ago. Is that was going to be their attempt to slowly reintroduce, the failed one that was going to be happening before.
Well, it's perfect. You got Nicolas Cage, who looks like he hasn't aged a day, other than
Fair.
Playing Dracula. But what was cool was I got to see the whole black and white scene. Apparently, that is supposed to be ripped from the Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was reading is it's supposed to be directly connected to the original Bela Lugosi one, which is how they're supposed to be soft rebooting, reintroducing everything. So
that'll be pretty cool.
If I haven't seen it, I am curious now because of that. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, it's another Nick Cage movie. But seeing as how they're trying to tie it in original 1930s, 1940s stuff, okay, let's see what what's up their sleeve on it.
It's either going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah, there's no gray area on it.
Yeah. Well, and if they do this, I mean, you're going to have John Talbot in it, or at least his like great grandchild, or I wonder how they're going to do it for the Wolfman.
Who knows? I mean, from what I understand, it wasn't horrible, and it did make all their numbers. But now that it's going to be streaming and everything like that, it could.
Yeah,
if it's pay-per-view, it could make the numbers they need, which is the way it is up for a lot of things now.
Mm-hmm. No,
very soft opening, very poor reception of the thing, because a lot of people just like, I'll just wait till it comes out.
right. I mean, we're so conditioned now that we can just watch it from home. But there's movies that need to be seen in the big theater, on the big screen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like Mario was worth it. That one had to be on the big screen.
The Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too, is I missed out on going to see Avatar 2 on the big screen. But I mean, it worked for what I had, at home, but I'd love to have went and gone to see it in theater.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I wonder, it'd be cool if they do all the monsters and then they reintroduce the Monster Squad after all they got all the Universal monsters together.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And because the last time they started trying it with the Tom Cruise Mummy and stuff like that, they went for too serious of an edge.
They did. And I enjoyed that movie. It was not too bad, honestly, but it was too dark, and I think people were expecting the comedic humor of Brendan Fraser from the other movie.
Right. Which is, I think, by going with Nick Cage on the Renfield movie, you could get, it's a good middle ground.
Yeah.
Because it's campy and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm wait till I see it, because who knows? There could be a couple of really good, serious moments in it. Because Nick Ray, he has range. He could, he tries to play it cool and loose with it and stuff like that, but he could do a serious moment or two if he needed to. And if you wanted to go a little darker from it, you could say, okay, we can take this aspect in here, or if we want to be campy, we can do this. It would be a good foundation if it pulls it off right. So I am curious to see it on that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any collectibles from it though.
No, I don't know if they're going to do anything. They could.
Having a Nick Cage Dracula figure might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have to admit it, as weird as my envisionment of it would be pretty cool.
Well, okay, so this is funny too, isn't it? The fact that like he played a it wasn't Once Bitten, because that's the one with Jim Carrey.
There was
trying to remember what the other vampire movie that was with Nick Cage, where he pretended like he thought he was a vampire. Or
what's the one with George Hamilton? Or is that Once Bitten also?
I'm trying to remember. Looking it up right now. We can edit this in real quick. Hold on.
I thought Once Bitten was George Hamilton, Jim Carrey, and
oh yeah, Vampire's Kiss was the one with
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time, but it'd be funny though if you think about it, is that this movie is connected to that movie a little bit, because maybe he's the great grandchild of Vlad the Impaler.
That'd be interesting. So it's just going to be one of those things. I think we're going to have to put it on our list to
check out. Yeah.
Check out. And
review.
Well, once I get it on,
whatever format.
Yeah, we can all watch it and stuff. And that's the whole plan of us doing this going forward, is having some kind of review at the end of the episode. Even though this week we don't have one, guys, we will have that next weekend with Radiant Black. Hopefully everything's good with my dad and David, and then we'll be back and we'll have 5 of us talking about our thoughts and feelings of that comic book. And so far, I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I am too. So
I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm just waiting for the time to read it.
I don't want to say anything because I don't want to ruin it.
No, that's totally fine. We'll get there.
Yeah. But
David has been very patient with the rest of us.
Right. I know.
Has he read the whole series?
Oh, he's the one that recommended it.
Yeah.
That was his
Okay.
one. Because what we're doing now is we're all recommending. Vince was Last Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
David's was Radiant Black. Mine is going to be Gregory, and then Vince is going to come up with one.
Yeah,
and if you're going to be part of it, then you come up with one.
Yeah.
Right on. Sounds good. I like that. I need to read more comics and manga again. Like, it's been too long since I've dove into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been going on is every time we recommend something, I go and I start grabbing them digitally, and then I share them up in my cloud for everybody. So.
Right on.
I mean, for me, it's like I just actually have an extra way to, beef up my library of books with just picking up, because usually a lot of these sometimes they're inexpensive. I mean, as far as like that first issue for Radiant Black, or the first volume, was only like $10. So,
yeah.
But all right, we guess we can wrap this up, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it has.
Dai, thank you for coming back, man. It's you've been missed.
Yeah. Thank you for having me back. It's always an honor.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Let's have him on the next one when we do Radiant Black.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, he will be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see you up here more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always free to be on. So
yeah.
As long as I know the topic, a lot of stuff I don't know about, but
hopefully we'll be doing stuff that's going to have a little bit more, but just besides what's going on with future topics, hopefully we'll be talking more about other life experiences and things like that as well, like we did tonight.
Sweet.
But everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. And if you guys have a suggestion you want us to read or watch and us review it in the episode, let us know down below in the comments. We're always open to suggestions as long as it's appropriate. But we can't wait to talk about next week, Radiant Black. Until then, everyone have a great week, and we will catch you later.
Deuces.